And a particular welcome to Hannah Lambert. Give us a wave, Hannah. Thank you. And Hannah is from she's chair of Rotherham SACRE, so particularly good from that point of view. Maybe the start of great things of SACREs working together to achieve more than the sum of the parts, as it were. She's also head of Thryburg Fullerton's Church of England Primary Academy. Is that right? Brilliant. And of the Diocese of Sheffield Trust is your school.
Yes, it's our academy trust.
Okay, and a potential member of Doncaster SACRE? Here to see that we are a proper outfit and that we may see that you're a proper living person. So all being well, after the end of this meeting, we will be recommending you to, obviously, as you know, it's not our gift, but we'd be putting you forward to Jane to, there we are. Hello, Jane. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry, remind me who you are. I can't see your name tab from here. Yeah.
I'm Amy Rodham. I'm the Methodist Church rep.
Sorry. I have such a hopeless memory, me. I'm so sorry. So welcome, Amy. Have we got anybody else online that I haven't said hello to? No, I think we're good to go in everything except a member from B. I've also been talking to Sophie Lanahan. Well, I'm due to talk to her. I've arranged a date to go and see her. She's the lead for RE at Ash Hill at Hatfield. So I will be seeing her in the next few weeks. I've also seen Paulette at the Buddhist Gom Day at Hatfield. She and I spent a most interesting afternoon chewing the cud, putting the world to rights and all the rest of it. She's very keen that she or one of hers should be involved with the SACRE, both with our activities and as a member of the team. So again, she's a potential for the future, but wasn't able to commit to anything yet. And then the other thing I should say to everybody is that I've invited Olivia Seymour, who's the RE Hubs lead. This RE Hubs job is a sort of national initiative to provide a central to-doment for RE. She's the Hubs lead for Yorkshire and the Humber. She's in another meeting until 5:15, but has suggested that she would like to join us then for a few minutes. So that's to come. Let's sally forth with a view to trying to get finished by 6 o'clock, so at the very latest, perhaps 4:30. But 6 o'clock perhaps would be a sensible length, wouldn't it? So let's see if we can aim at that. Okay, I think that's introductions. Have I missed anybody off? Somebody put me right. Lat. Oh, yes, Ian. Yes, Lat, would you introduce Ian, please? Or would Ian like to introduce Ian?
I'm very pleased to say hello to Ian Nicholson, who has joined me as a colleague, as an advisor colleague at RE Today. I'm speaking to you from Leicester today, and Ian, I think, from Chorley. So that's about equidistant from Doncaster. As some of you know, my own role at RE Today is changing at the end of this calendar year, when I'll cease to be a full-time RE advisor and I'll become a part-time advisor. So you're lucky because you get Ian to come and join Doncaster SACRE, in the end replacing the work I've done with great pleasure, I must say, over the last 7 years. Ian, do you want to tell him a bit about your experience just for a moment?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, so I'm Ian Nicholson. As Lat says, newly appointed National Advisor for RE Today. Before I joined in September, I was chair of Trafford SACRE for 8 years over in Greater Manchester, and was also RE advisor for Lancashire County Council for 8 years from 2000. And lastly, I was senior leader in a high school in South Manchester. So I was assistant head teacher at Stretford Grammar School with responsibility for things like equality, inclusion, diversity, religious education, PSHE. So I've had a variety of roles. First met Lat many years ago when he first started with RE Today. So we've known each other for a long time, but really pleased to be joining you today. And I'm really looking forward to working very closely with the SACRE going forward.
Thank you. Welcome, Ian. Welcome everybody who's here.
Thank you very much.
Great to see a good turnout, which is brilliant. Just a shame we haven't got a Group B, but never mind. We'll press on regardless. Apologies for absence. Jugtinda has sent her apologies. I know, Shahid, you've already got. Vanessa sent apologies a few minutes ago. Have we got any others? Say again, please. Councillor Steve Fox. Steve Cox. I'll get it right sometime. Sorry. Old manism creeping in there. Declarations of interest, anybody? Anybody making millions out of us, on the back of us? If so, count me in. No, if so, declare it now. All right. The minutes of the meeting held on the 6th of July. Has everybody got a copy with them? If you remember, we discussed the minutes of the previous one. We discussed the SACRE budget, which Jane gave us quite a good uptake on, and assured us that there would be any amount of money to do whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. Is that right, Jane? Not quite.
Not
perhaps.
quite how I remember it. We've certainly got the allocated sum for SACRE's priorities in 23-24 identified.
Okay, the SEND, thank you. 74, the SEND training, Lat and Glynis are going to talk to us about later, aren't they? So the national update was the national update, and again, we've got the update of the update to come. The annual report, there is a little bit of news on that one, I think. Jane?
Well, yes, just to confirm that the 22-23 annual report has been on its journey through the council processes and has been signed off, and now can make its way into the external distribution list onto websites, formally out to SACRE members, onto the DFE, and we are within the deadline of the 31st of December, so we're okay.
Phew.
Thank you.
Will it be on the council, on our SACRE website?
Sorry,
Okay.
it will be uploaded there as well, yes.
Okay, and will we be automatically emailing SACRE members with their, as it were, own copy?
Yes, all of that. Everything on the distribution.
Every channel on the distribution list
Excellent.
will be attended to. Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you. Look out for that. It's worth a read through, if only so that you can start planning your contribution to next year's, because it is a bit of an effort if any one of us has to do it all. But if we all put a few lines in, it would be actually, well, it'd be a whole lot better report, as well as being a lot less trouble, wouldn't it?
Yes. Do you want to talk about that now, Chair, or do you want to talk about it on the agenda with regards to the strategy for next year?
Yes, it's on the agenda,
Okay.
isn't it? Yeah. Sorry. We reported, Sally and I, who went to the SACRE annual conference, reported. The West Hill grant, we're going to hear from, well, Tara's going to speak for Jugtinda and herself. Membership is ongoing. We have already noted a bit about membership. So involving teachers, that comes up again this time, if anybody's got anything new to add to it. Succession planning, I must say, I would really like to make the point that we badly need someone who is keen to get closely enough involved that in the event of my deciding I'd had enough, could take over the chair and sort of hit the ground running. That would be really good to have that particular position, at least, as it were, backed up. How are you doing, Glynis? If there's anybody who feels that it's something they would enjoy, you know, putting that bit extra in, it would be really good. It'd be really good to, well, for me and Glynis and Jane, to work in a sort of small team that's leading the SACRE, and confident that it would carry on if any one of us needs to drop out. So please look out for that. Right, that's the minutes. Anybody got any matters arising or comments on them? Okay, are we allowed to even sign them off, or do we have to hold that over till next time, seeing as we're not? Yes, this copy, am I allowed to sign it, or even though we're not quorate?
Yes, you can still sign
I can sign the minutes. In that case, I will duly sign the minutes with great ceremony. There it is. Okay, and the next thing on the agenda is report from the Send Day, held on the 12th of July. Okay, Glynis, shall we have Glynis first and then Lat, please?
Well, I just want to tell everybody that the day was joyful and fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed every minute. I don't think I've made any secret of the fact that my whole working life as an adult was spent with both vulnerable children and adults, and being with people who worked with children with special needs for the day just brought everything back. I've only been retired for 18 months, but it was a joy to be in the same room as people who, you know, really want to work with children with special needs. We were shown practical ways to support children in so many different ways that were appropriate for them and their learning styles. There was lots of colour, sensory play, and opportunities for participation for the children, you know, by dressing, sensory activities, listening to music, tasting appropriate food. But I suppose for me, the things that Lat and it was Anne, wasn't it, were able to tell us about their experiences were just amazing. And we saw some films of children discovering things and finding things out that were absolutely joyful. I have no other word for it, but absolutely joyful. I think for me personally, the 10 case studies were really helpful as well, because they gave a practical example of how different people looked at different ways of supporting children and how to introduce them to different religions. So I would just like to say a special thank you, Lat, to yourself and Anne for a glorious day that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I think everybody picked so much up from the practical things, all the touchy-feely things that we were able to, you know, join in with, and an amazing day.
Thank you, Glynis. Brilliant. Do you want anything to add, Lat?
Just a paragraph, if I may there, Bob, thank you. Thanks to Glynis for being there on behalf of SACRE. It was really interesting that when we'd advertised this originally more locally around Doncaster, we didn't get enough participants to run the day. We had 7 applicants initially. We put it off for 4 or 5 months. And I just want to record my thanks to Samina there for the flexibility and, what should we say, Samina? Doggedness, I think we put into that, didn't we? Persistence, that's a better word. To say, let's just widen the net and invite people from far and wide and make it work. And it is brilliant, actually, that we had 38 delegates who came to the day. Doncaster is kind of, we're showing some national leadership there, really. One came from Carlisle, a couple came up from Bedfordshire, one was from Liverpool, and there were delegates from other local authorities, many of whom were saying, oh, I wish our SACRE would do something like this. So I felt that did a very good job of putting Doncaster's work and Doncaster's ability to get things done through SACRE on a bit more of a map. And it kind of you, Glynis, to put me in the same bracket there as the wonderful Anne Chrisman. But there really is, I was reminded again that I know of no special needs practitioner in religious education who works to the extraordinary quality. I'll use the word genius and inspiration there. She was brilliant on the day, and the work that she shared is testimony to how, in the hands of a fine teacher, that can be transformative. I don't know where that goes next. I don't think that there's another easy way to follow that up, but I do think that teachers of special needs pupils across Doncaster will now look to SACRE to say, right, you've given us a brilliant first instalment of something important there, and I think we should try and conceive how to make that happen again. Of course, one thing that did happen from it is that a teacher from Wiltshire, one of the far-travelled ones, has approached Dan and myself to ask if we can organise and deliver a similar multi-SACRE day down in the southwest of England. Well, that'll be nice for them if we can, but we're not quite clear how to conceptualise that for the future of our immediate special needs colleagues here in Doncaster. Honestly, I was thrilled to do the day. Lovely to work with Glynis, lovely to work with Anne, and I think a bit of a feather in the cap there for Doncaster SACRE.
Oh, it's all brilliant, and we made a profit, hey?
Just about.
All Doncaster's financial problems gone at a stroke. Is that right?
If,
Not
no.
quite. Would anybody like to comment, ask questions? Jane?
May I just ask a follow-up on that, Lat, for sustainability? When we're looking at one of the priorities this year for curriculum review, the statutory curriculum review, is there an opportunity that we would be able to work again, particularly around the schemes of work and particularly with regards to proposals around adaptation for meeting SEND needs, etc. And I think that might provide something very bespoke for Doncaster.
Yes, I like that idea very much. My conversation with Anne Crisman is continuing there. What we could do is publish some of the material that she wrote especially for the day, which is extremely well dovetailed into Doncaster SACRE's approach to, to actually all inclusion issues, to SEND pupils, but to a range of inclusion issues there. We should certainly do that, and I would think that would appear probably as a digital appendix to a new syllabus, as well as having incorporated some of Anne's brilliant ideas into our syllabus when we do the review. I think that's quite a good way forward, because it's not as organisationally complex as trying to run another conference on that sort of scale. But I think that would show a continuing commitment from SACRE to making sure that we take seriously the inclusion needs of all our pupils. Yeah, that'd be great. Shall I proceed with that, Jane?
Yes, please.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much. Anybody else on that one? Okay, let's move on. In answer to previous meetings' suggestions, where the next item is a review of a particular school and a particular mat. I had hoped to get a secondary school here as well, but unfortunately it hasn't worked. But Tara has very kindly prepared a few minutes of is it RE at Rowena it's called, is it? And your mat. Brilliant. Tara, over to you.
So my name's Tara Moxford and I'm RE lead at Rowena Academy. So we're an outstanding school in Conisbrough. I actually prepared this presentation for our governors because the principal at the time wanted us to inform our governors exactly, how we teach RE and the reason behind it. So I thought I'd share it with you all today. So we obviously follow the Doncaster locally agreed syllabus, and when that launched first in 2019 and I went to the whole launch day that we had, we decided early on that we wanted to buy into the RE Today sort of scheme of work. I really liked the way it looked and the way sort of explained it all to us. It all seemed really sort of seamless across the year groups. So we did buy into the RE Today scheme of work, and from that I created individual lesson plans, and that runs, we are an infant school, so that runs all the way from nursery up until year 2, and it covers a wide range of religious, different religions and sort of worldviews. So obviously the aims of RE and what we are really passionate about is that children know and understand a wide range of religions and worldviews and how that impacts on the world and how it impacts on how people sort of behave and do certain things. Very much as part of RRE, we look at learning from religion and learning about religion. So everything's getting the children to relate something to themselves and then relate it to another person, which we think is really, really important, particularly in a school like ours in Conisbrough, because we're not a very diverse area. So, we think it's really important that the children are immersed in, celebrating different religions, and understanding that people are different and there's a reason behind it, and that's okay. So, as I said, we teach RE on a weekly basis in every year group, all the way from nursery all the way to year 2. And the 3 sort of areas, the big sort of questions that we cover in nursery are which stories are special and why, which people are special and why, and which places are special and why. And what I love so much about the way that this scheme of work sort of pans out is that it always starts with the children thinking about themselves. So what's your favourite story? Why is it special to you? And then that leads on to thinking about, there's a little character called Grace and she's a Christian girl, and we think about what's important to her. And then Imran, and, we go through all the different religions and think about what's important to them and why. And then again, places that are special. And we've had some really funny answers when we've asked the children which place is special to you. They've said things like Little Asda in Dennerby, which was really funny. But again, asking them what's a special place to them, and then revealing, a special place to a Christian person or a special place, to all different types of people. And then we move on to reception. Reception's sort of key questions are which times are special and why, where do we belong, and what is special about our world. So again, children start off by thinking about something that's important to them, what makes them feel special, and then we move on to things like, what makes Christian people feel special to God. So everything's starting from the children, getting the children to reflect on themselves, and then sort of linking it to different religions. Sorry. I'll let you do that. It's hard multitasking. So then we move on to year 1. So the reason why we absolutely love this scheme of work for our school is the fact that year 1 sort of base the whole of their year of RE on Christianity. I mean, we obviously dip into different religions as part of that, but we feel that they have a really, really good grasp of Christianity by the time they finish in year 1, because they've spent the whole year sort of looking at different parts of the New Testament and the Old Testament, and the different parts of a church. We don't want the children just to know what a church is or what it looks like. We want them to know the different parts of the church and why those different parts of the church are important to Christian people. So their sort of key areas are who is a Christian and what do they believe, what can we learn from sacred books, and how we should care for others and the world, and why does it matter. And then we move on to year 2, and year 2 focus on Islam as the main sort of thing. Obviously, again, they dip in and out of different religions, particularly doing some comparison work for the higher ability children, getting them to think about how the faith of Islam compares to the faith of Christianity, reflecting on their learning from the previous year. So the key questions in year 2 are who is a Muslim and what do they believe, how and why we celebrate special and sacred times, and what does it mean to belong to a faith community. And again, children start off by thinking about what's important to them, and then move on, to thinking about what's important to Muslim people. As well as teaching the weekly sort of RE lessons that on the board now is my lesson plans that I devised from LAT's RE Today sort of scheme of work. So the lesson plans are there so that I know as a subject coordinator, as a subject lead, that what I want to be taught in RE is actually being taught. And sort of over the last couple of weeks, we've been doing sort of a lot of subject work in our school, where I had a look on my RE progression map, what lesson should be happening in year 2, what lesson should be happening in reception, and then just nipping in to sort of see if what I thought was being taught was actually being taught, and I was really happy that it was, so that was really, really good. So I devised these lesson plans, made a folder for every class in my school, made sure they had all the resources that they needed to do the lessons, all the PowerPoints, all the video links, because obviously there's lots of RE videos out there that are not really suitable for our children. So I made sure that, all the videos that were on the lesson plans were suitable. I'd watched them and I made sure that they were, they were good. So then at the end of every unit, there are summative assessments. So they are on the teacher's lesson plan, so they can see exactly, by the end of this unit, where the children should be at, and they could think about whether the children are emerging or expected or exceeding. And then at the end of key stage 1, there are key stage outcomes again for the teachers to go through the children and think whereabouts, they are in terms of their RE knowledge and skills. And then alongside the weekly RE lessons, every half term we have a festival day. So for one day, the whole school are off timetable. We pick a religion, we decide the year before which religions we're going to do. We tend to swap the religions sort of, to mix it up a little bit. Things like Chinese New Year, Diwali, we've done Eid, we've done Harvest Festival. And these are just basically some photographs that I've put together. I had to blank the children's faces out, unfortunately, because of permission. But these are some of the things that we've done. We've had dance workshops, we have had a Chinese buffet, we've had a Chinese restaurant, we all made, each class made a Chinese dragon, and we paraded them around the school to music. We've done lots of lovely things, and they happen every half term. We had a proper Christian wedding where the vicar came in and did a ceremony. Everybody dressed in the nines, and we had speeches and bridesmaids and the whole shebang basically. And we have children that have now left our school that basically come to pick siblings up and say, like, remember when we had that wedding? It was the best day ever. So I feel like as a school and, as me as RE lead, we try to make those experiences, the best that they can be. And that's everything. I evidence RE with these floor books. I'll show you. So one of them is evidencing weekly RE lessons. So what we do basically to meet the learning outcomes from the planning. So there's lots of evidence there of how we meet those sort of objectives. And then the other one is basically giving lots more examples than what's on the PowerPoint of all the different special events that we do, all the different celebratory days that we do. So I were going to say, if that's all right with you, Bob, I was just going to put them on the big table, and if anybody wants to look them at the end, then feel free.
Of course. Okay, thank you. Yeah, brilliant. Well done, Tara. Thank you very much for that. Would anybody like to comment, ask questions? Anything at all?
Can I ask a question, Bob?
Is that Harvey? Yes, I'm not sure that I've said welcome, Harvey, to you. I'm sorry, I missed you off.
That's right. I didn't seem to get the link, so I had to, I joined late. Can I just ask, I didn't see or hear anything mentioned about Judaism, as that's one of the main international faiths. Is that covered in any way?
Yeah, so basically how the scheme works is that in early years it's Discovery RE. So in early years you're sort of dipping into all different religions, including Judaism, and all of the little characters that, you'll sort of talk about a character and say he's a believer of this faith, and talk about, the sort of things that are important to the character. And Judaism is in there. But for us, because we're only in infant school, year 1 focus on Christianity, year 2 focus on Islam. And as I believe it, I'm sure Lat will know more which year group, but as they progress, year 3 will focus on a religion, year 4 will focus on a religion. But because we're only in infant school, obviously our main focus is in early years, it's a discovery, so we do cover it. But year 1 and year 2, it's Christianity and Islam as the main sort of religions that we cover. But I do believe as in year 3, 4, whatever it may be, that they do cover that in more depth.
Brilliant. Thank you. Lat?
Yeah, thanks, Tara. That's right, and it's important, Harvey, that what we've planned into the syllabus at the moment is that between the ages of 5 and 14, pupils will have a substantive encounter, I think is the wording we've gone for, with Jewish tradition and community, and with the Sikhs and the Buddhists and the Christians and the Hindus and the Muslims, and with some non-religious worldviews, including obviously the visible example of humanism. And of course, we don't want to plan to take 6 religions or 7 different worldviews in any particular year group. We want there to be a balance about that. So that's certainly it's important to note that the intended balance runs from the age group 5 to 14, and across that age group, then good space is made for each of those religions and worldviews. Tara's doing it in a perfectly, that's a perfectly legitimate way of working the agreed syllabus for her age groups.
Thanks, Lat. Thank you. Amy.
I noticed on the wedding day there was you said the vicar came in. That was beautiful. Are there any other community sort of cohesions that could be done to help teach RE within the school, or the children maybe visit a place of worship of the religion that they're studying?
That's something that we developed. That was part of my RE sort of academy development plan for last year. So we wanted to make links with the mosque in order to get some visitors in. And we did do that. Obviously, it was a bit tricky before that with the whole COVID thing. But we did get visitors to come in. One of the members of SACRE actually came into school. 3 of them actually came in, and they did like a question and answer session at the end of the unit, so the children could get, answer questions and get a first-hand sort of an account. And yeah, I think we're probably looking at doing something like some sort of ceremony, for a different religion as sort of part of this year's plan. So yeah, but getting the link was obviously the first step to that. But we've now got the link, which is brilliant. So yeah, it's something we're definitely looking to do.
And that's, of course, where Bob's resource comes in, isn't it, Bob? Getting the links into schools.
Absolutely. Well, I hope it will get used, certainly. I'm very keen that well, it's on our agenda for later, just have a quick look at that, certainly, yeah. The resource. Goodo, anybody else like to question or comment?
Yes, this is Behdad. I just wanted to thank Tara. It's really well done, really good presentation. Rowena Conisborough, which is really special in my heart, really, because I used to have a business in Conisborough for many years, and it's amazing, really good to hear. But my second question my own question is from Lat, really. He mentioned of many religions, and all that mentioned that. He probably remember me on the last launch of last RE syllabus. I did mention, the thing is that I just wanted to wonder whether the Baha'i faith is in the appendix of the syllabus, of the next lot of syllabus, because I couldn't see it. You probably remember me, I put that question into your last meeting, and you did say it was on the appendix of the things, but maybe, forgive me, I couldn't find it on the appendix. So
let's have a go there, please. Thank you for that. Let quickly.
Yes, thank you very much. It's not as an appendix. There is an appendix, a digital appendix available to help teachers teach about the Baha'i faith. And I think we need to probably give that a bit more prominence in the next review of the agreed syllabus. But the mention in the syllabus itself is on the page that is given. I'm just looking for the page number here. On the page that describes the religions that are to be studied, then it mentions those 6 that I listed, along with humanism and non-religious worldviews. And then it says this is not an exhaustive list. This is a list which schools can teach beyond. Now, of course, we've got an issue there, haven't we? About clarity and confusion, about depth and breadth. And as things stand at the moment in the syllabus, not all pupils will learn about the Baha'i faith by the age of 14. We could change that, but wherever a school has Baha'i pupils in any classroom, then the teachers are encouraged to plan some work on the Baha'i faith. So thank you for reiterating the question. That there is a potentiality as we review our agreed syllabus to do a little more work on the Baha'i traditions. And I certainly want to take that very seriously as we go at the review over the next few months.
Can we put that on the agenda for the agreed syllabus conference that we're talking about later? I think that is a good point, and it may well apply to every point of view, mightn't it, as well? So let's bear that in mind in the forthcoming conference, please. Okay, anybody else? Okay, well, again, a big thank you, Tara. That was brilliant, thank you, and a really good addition to our meetings, I think. I really think that you've set a standard for the future, and we ought to try very hard to find teachers who would do the same for us again, or similar issue, because That was both really interesting and I think really helpful too. So many thanks, Tara. Okay, let's move on. Communication with schools through EduLog. We did say last time something about having sort of trying to develop a strategy for EduLog, didn't it? Or was it just you and I on the phone, Jane? I can't remember.
Certainly what we've agreed is that there needs to be, and as one of the priorities for SACRE this next academic year is continuing its profile raising amongst other priorities and strengthening your voice. So we have agreed that there will be every half term a particular focus on SACRE and RE in the EduLog, which is the communication portal that we have with all our schools and reaches all our schools. This term we have promoted the resources project, the resources, and certainly we need to work up the content for next half term in terms of after October, and I would have thought that that's going to be focused on the syllabus conference, etc. But I'll come on to the other items when we cover off the next year's annual report and in terms of priorities. But certainly, yes, we've now got a very official communication contact for our chair. So rather than contacting schools via personal email, which we wouldn't want, and particularly with that showing humanist on, we now have SACRE chair at doncaster.gov.uk, for example. We will have the regular prominence of messaging in the EduLog and key themes, and then as SACRE rolls out its priorities through delivering on its action plan this next year, we will be able to promote content from that as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jane. Anybody want to comment on that one? Okay, on to item 7, the resources project. It's now actually 12 months since we first put that together. It needs, in my view, 2 things. One is to actually contact everybody who's on it and say, is it still relevant and do you still want to be on it? We want to review who else we would like to invite to join it, and I think as a group of people who would look at what each entry on it actually includes. There's a danger, I think, of having too much. The idea started out as really just a name and a phone number and an email address for each one, but then it makes a lot of sense to say what you are offering, what you aren't, and it's sort of snowballed a little bit. And I wonder whether we want to just review what each entry, as it were, should contain. I wonder if there are 2 or 3 people who would meet, perhaps online, 2 or 3 times to just go through it and put some recommendations forward for the February meeting. So go on, all shout at once that yes, you'd love to join such a little subcommittee to review the resources project. Amy, brilliant. Thank you. Go on, 2 more. Everybody carefully. Sally, excellent. Thank you very much. All right, 1 more. Glynis, brilliant.
I'll do it, Bob.
And Pahani, brilliant. Yeah. That's excellent. That would be, well, 5 of us, or if I'm there, or 4 of us otherwise, and or 4 of you otherwise, and that'd be great. And that will be its brief, really, is to report back to the next meeting how we take that on and how we change it and how we learn from what we've done so far, etc., etc. I've had 2 or 3 approaches from the resources. Has anybody else? That have come by people who've looked at it and thought, yeah, I want one of them, I'll get in touch with him. I have. So it has done something at least. Okay, no, nobody else yet. Okay, so that needs looking at too as well. You know, we don't want to waste our time if nobody's going to use it. But perhaps it's too early to give up on that one. Okay, goody good, right. Anything else on that? No? Okay, West Hill, a quick report for the Festival of Faith and Ideas, we decided to call it, didn't we? And only today a date has been announced. Tara. The date, yes, I think it's the 20-something of June, isn't it? I'll look it up while you tell people about the meeting on...
Yeah, so we've
Monday.
had a few sort of face-to-face meetings, and me and Jugtinder have had many, many telephone conversations. So it's happening at Willows Primary. We've obviously just got the date booked in. We've chosen quite a wide range of religions that we are going to be covering over the day. We are inviting 6 different schools, and each school is going to bring a teacher and 2 to 3 pupils with them. We had to scale numbers back a little bit due to sort of where all the people are going to go at Willows Primary, basically, just logistically. So we decided we would invite 2 schools from my MAT, 2 schools from Jugtinder's MAT, and 2 sort of Doncaster Council schools, in the hope and with the resources, with the pack and the information to sort of go out to many, many schools to sort of showcase this is what we have done, and sort of trying to encourage other schools to do similar things. We have got a timetable, which took a very, very long time to finalise, but a timetable of lovely activities. I have already booked in a dance company that are going to do some traditional Indian folk dancing, so teaching the children how to do that. I've booked a company called Debutantes, and basically they specialise in telling stories using dance and drama and role play. So she's going to do a Hanukkah session for us. And yeah, we've got lots of lovely ideas. We're going to do like a food tasting sort of session where the children get to sample different sort of foods linking to the festival. So what kind of foods, Sikh people may eat as part of their special times and so forth. I can't remember, Bob, can you remember some of the other activities? A humanist wedding ceremony, a Christian baptism. So basically each of the sessions are going to be 40 minutes long. They're going to be split into Key Stage 1, Upper Key Stage 2 and Lower Key Stage 2. And basically how it's going to work is that the teacher, the person that's sort of performing that activity, whether it's somebody brought in or a teacher or a lovely volunteer, will stay in the classroom and do the activity, from there, and the children will move around in groups. The children that are coming from different schools will be placed in with one of the classes from Willows, and obviously a member of staff that's familiar to them will stay with them all day. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really amazing day. We're just sort of finalising things now, getting things, properly booked in now. We've got his date, sorting out resources and who's sourcing what, that sort of thing. But it's looking really, really good.
Thank you. That sounds pretty comprehensive. I'm trying to look after the money side of it, Jane. So can I send you a request to have an invoice sent to get the first half of the money? And then, and to organise how Jugtinder and Tara will access the money to pay for things as they go along.
Yes, absolutely, Bob.
Is that straightforward, is it?
Yes, Chair.
Brilliant, thank you. I'll send you an email about that. Anybody want to ask anything about the West Hill Grant Day? All proceeding as it should, I think, is the top and bottom of it. Amy?
Can I just confirm that date? Did you say 20th of June?
25th of June. I mean, I think any of us will be very welcome as observers. If I could say it, as observers. That's yeah. It'll be a crowded school that day, but you might have to squeeze into a corner. But you'll be very welcome to come and see and all that. Okay, brilliant. Number 9, really, I've almost completely covered. The one thing I forgot to say was that I ran into Sophie, I can't remember, the Bishop of Doncaster. Jelly. Sophie Jelly at the opening of the new crematorium when I had my funeral celebrant's hat on. And so I was bending her ear to try and rustle up even more Church of England celebrants, membership, Group B membership. So hopefully Hannah will not be running away as fast as she can after today's meeting, and we could still do with some more Group B, I'm sure. Okay, otherwise I think I sort of plugged that into the beginning when I was saying hello. Okay, I noticed joined us in this as well is Olivia Seymour. Welcome, Olivia.
Thank you. Hello.
We're hoping to finish before 6 o'clock. Are you all right, or would you like me to bring your item forward?
I'm fine for the moment. Fit me in where it's most appropriate.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, right. Notes and news. Last year's annual report and stuff, Jane, and next year's?
Well, I do believe we've covered the
we have pretty
last
well,
year's,
haven't we? Yeah.
If that's okay, Chair. So just with a focus on this year's, just a reminder to SACRE that the purpose of the annual report is ultimately for you to hold the local authority to account, in particular as the statutory body, for you to ensure that you're satisfied that RE and collective worship and the status of that in our schools is high, and where it is not, for you to obviously escalate that through your voice. Yeah. But of course, there's lots and lots of things that are going on, and we're hearing about them today, but it's about consistency. We've agreed 4 priorities for the next academic year, 23-24, which will culminate in your report. Okay, and in terms of those 4 priorities, I think we still have a need, Chair, to some of the work has already started, but there is a need, I think, for us to put a clearer frame around the 4 priorities in the form of an action plan. So I think that's an action that we can do an action plan, but that's something that we can take forward offline. The 4 priorities being to continue with the profile raising of SACRE and strengthening your voice through such opportunities such as the resources project, but other opportunities as well, such as your workshops and the grant itself. But there are other opportunities we can explore to do that. So to really set out our agenda and actions around how SACRE is going to continue its profile raising and what its success criteria looks like in that respect. The second priority is around CPD and continuing the good work that is done there. There is quite a lot of evidence, an evidence base that one-off single day CPD is not as impactful. So I think we should be looking at as other opportunities for CPD. So as well as day courses and or workshops, I think we should be looking at how we ensure our CPD is meeting the need that we identify for developing and strengthening practice in schools. And as we've just talked about, SEND, for example, RE and SEND, this microphone is not very good at all. I think it's me. So I think there's again an action plan that we need to develop further with regards to how we are going to look at the CPD, what need are we trying to address, and then making sure that that is purposeful and linked to the needs of our RE subject leaders and the needs of our schools. Similarly, we've got a statutory responsibility this next academic year to review the syllabus. Work is on with that, and there's a very clear plan of action around that. And then finally, in terms of the curriculum offer in our schools, and I think this is where a key piece of work is needed, again, that will culminate in the outcome of your advice to the local authority in your annual report, is to evaluate or baseline what the curriculum offer and SMSC offer is in our schools and across all phases, and whether or not that is high, medium, low in terms of content, and what the view is of SACRE on that, and in particular, with regards to the options that are provided for our RE in terms of qualifications and non-qualifications. At the moment, there's a very low number of schools who do offer RE as a qualification, Doesn't mean to say that they're not offering RE in terms of a subject in terms of their curriculum, but I think SACRE needs to identify what the baseline is across Doncaster in its schools, and the work that it does this next academic year will enable SACRE to develop a view and a voice with regards to advice to the local authority this next year in its annual report.
Thank you. That's pretty clear what or rather a lot we've got to do. Well, there's plenty for us to do, isn't there? That's for sure. Would anybody like to ask any questions about any of that? Okay. Amy, please.
Sorry, it's just a thought I had on the CPD. So I serve as a governor for my son's primary school, and we have link members to the different areas in the school. I'm the link member for SEND, and that has really helped the school to improve its provision, to have that person holding you accountable. I wonder if on terms of CPD, could that be something SACRE adopts? Could there be a link member from SACRE available to schools to look at their RE provision and say, this needs representing more, or you're doing really well with that, just as a suggestion, perhaps, from seeing it work so successfully in my son's school?
So do you, as the link member, then go into the school quite a bit? And
yeah, so I have termly meetings with the SENCO in my son's school. I look at what's gone right and what's going well, and how that can be boosted, improved, and then also look at what's been challenges this terms, where have the challenges popped up. It might be attendance of SEND pupils, it could be getting EHCPs through the local authority, anything like that. What have been the challenges? And I just go through that with the SENCO.
Do you think there would be 5 or 10 minutes that the SACRE could really benefit from you and perhaps the teacher, the SENCO in that school, to make a presentation to the SACRE meeting in February?
Absolutely. I can have a chat with Jo Miller and see if that's something she'd be happy to come through and do. Or perhaps even Kelly Garbutt, who's the pastoral lead at Hexthorpe, could
or
come
a whole
and chat with
team,
us.
And perhaps a few children as well, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah.
That would be great. I mean, if we could get a feeling for exactly, for the whole sort of feel for what's happening.
Yeah.
I am sure that then there'll be lots of us who'll say, yes, we want to get involved with it.
Amazing. I will raise that at the next governor's meeting and let you know, Bob.
Would you look into that?
I will, of course.
Thank you, Amy. Yes. Is that a good idea? Am I overreaching myself here? Does everybody agree that would be something we'd like to? Yeah? Excellent. Right. Thank you for that very much. The chair's email address you've sort of referred to. Is it still now that it goes to Amber, who sends it to me? Is that how it's got to be forever?
Not forever. Not forever, Chair. It is at the moment, but not forever.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Thank you. All right. The WhatsApp, I don't think I've got a lot to say about that, except if anybody's not a member of the WhatsApp, please do. Please do join it. I had cause, well, no, I don't know whether I had cause, but obviously the current situation in the Middle East gave rise to some, people. Well, I just felt that this isn't that WhatsApp isn't the forum to debate a sort of world political situation or whatever you want to call it, a war situation, whatever. So please, everybody, do make an effort to restrict the WhatsApp to material that is of direct interest to members of the WhatsApp, please, of the SACRE. Okay. The next bit on this list here really was just an excuse to give you those. I've had quite a lot of communications from people, obviously, as you might imagine. Harvey has sent me some very interesting and useful things. The letter that's being sent to schools about anti-Semitism in the light of the current situation. I've had stuff about Islamophobia in the current situation, the the local authority has had advice from the government, which has come to me. I'm not absolutely sure what to do with it. I'm not really in a position to send it on to schools. That's Edulog's job if it's going to get done, isn't it? So I think that's really what I do with such things, is send them to Jane, who sends them to Edulog if she feels that's appropriate. Do you want to comment on that, Jane?
Yes, I have forwarded the government Department for Education's advice and the resource links that are within there in terms of Educate Against Hate, for example. But if there are other, if there's anything else that you think should be promoted or any resources signposted, we can obviously forward those to me, Bob. We can look at that. Certainly, rather than I appreciate this is a very specific matter, a very urgent matter. But in terms of the regular cycle of communications that we want in Edulog from the SACRE chair, in terms of every half term, I think there would be an opportunity to build something into your messaging in that way. So it's proactive and moving forward as opposed to reacting to specific situations. And there's already communications gone out about that or going about that.
Brilliant. Thank you. So please do keep sending me things that you would like me to read. And honestly, I read them all with great interest, and where I think SACRE has a role, I take them on in the way that Jane's just described. So please don't let that put you off sending things direct to me. Okay. Right. Oh, yes. The teaching hours for RE. Do you want to have a quick word about that, Lat?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Bob. Previously, SACRE has discussed provision of religious education in our secondary schools. We are aware of some weaknesses there. The National Association for Teachers of RE, NATRE, for whom I work, did a Freedom of Information request, not specific to Doncaster. We did this for all local authorities to get the information that the DFE hold about teaching hours by subject. And that's in the pack provided to SACRE members for this meeting. It's item 11. I can't quite see the page number. My apologies that it's in very small print. What it does is it lists all of our secondary schools, and it gives the information that the DFE collect through their annual statistical survey of subjects being taught. There's lots we could say about this. I'll just pick out two things. One is that schools with a religious character in the Doncaster area are much better at providing for a suitable percentage of curriculum time, 4.4%, or even in the case of the Catholic school, 9.2%. That's like 2 hours a week of religious education for their pupils than any of our other schools. Also, we should have a concern that there are two schools which record hardly any time for religious education, and a third where it's really very minimal. Of course, that could be an anomaly in the figures. We chase the term philosophy through the data as well as the term religious education, religious studies, because some schools call the subject philosophy and ethics rather than religious education. So we've done that bit of work, and we still can't find in those schools evidence that religious education is being taught at Key Stage 3, and then the picture at Key Stage 4 is more substantially difficult. I wanted to draw SACRE's attention to that because we do struggle to have a comprehensive data-based picture of the provision of RE in our schools, which makes our job very difficult, that we're supposed to be monitoring that, but we don't actually know enough about it. There is a little bit to be said in terms of item 12 that follows this one about the approach SACRE agreed to take at its last meeting to try and plug that knowledge gap about what our schools are actually teaching when it comes to RE. This picture is to do with secondary schools. We don't think there's such a serious problem in primary schools, but we don't like the fact that rather too many of our secondary schools seem to be giving very tiny amounts of curriculum time to the study of religion and worldviews. So that's really just a matter of report, but it should give us pause as we notice the data that we have and what it seems to be saying about the provision of our subject.
Thank you, Lat. So RE teaching in Doncaster doesn't happen nearly as much as it does in most other authorities. Is that the bottom line?
Well, that's not quite what I said. I didn't do any comparison. I can show you some other local authorities where the picture is similarly weak, but national weakness wouldn't be an excuse for local underprovision.
No.
So I'm having this conversation in one or two other places as well, but that is a serious situation for us.
Sorry, Councillor first, then.
I'm sorry to complain, but this is neither use nor ornament. I can't read it. I mean,
There's a bigger version there.
yeah, well, even the bigger version. I was trying to read it with glasses and a magnifying glass. If it's information that we need in order to make comments, then it's no good if the information isn't accessible. And that
point taken.
Yeah, you're right, Sue. It's no good, is it?
I mean, surely that could have been.
Yeah, no,
expanded.
you're quite right. You're quite right. Please, can we have a look at? Well, could we minute that, please, so that in future, just to the extent that in agenda item 11. The accompanying papers, if it's in the agenda, then please could we just draw attention to, well, I don't know, is it Amber or Andrew or whoever, that please could we have that a bit better in future. But yeah, it's a fair comment, Sue, thank you.
Okay, I would like to say something about it, from what I could gather, to ask in the column, see, I can't read it, that's the problem. Religious character. Okay, we've got does not apply, none. What's the difference between does not apply and none?
Thank you.
Shall I leave that one with you, lad? We'll come back, or?
Yeah, sure. I think in this context, it's a good question. I don't have an answer immediately there, but it does mark quite clearly the three of our schools, Macaulay Catholic, Rossington All Saints and Trinity, that do have a religious character. From other information, I know that none of the other secondary schools in the Doncaster area that we're talking about here has that designation, a school with a religious character. I'm taking it that those two are almost interchangeable. I'll find out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy.
In terms of the data presented, some of the, especially in philosophy, it says Z a lot. Can I just confirm what that Z means, please? Does it mean 0?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I just wanted to confirm that.
Thank you. Okay. Right, I'm going to squeeze something in here now, which I'm afraid I don't know how it didn't arrive on the agenda, but it's not a case of making decisions, it's more of information. So I don't know what heading that comes into in the minutes. Sorry about that if it gives you a problem. But I'd like to introduce Olivia Seymour, who is the RE lead for the Yorkshire and Humber hub. So, Olivia, you have the floor.
Thanks, Bob. I do have a PowerPoint that I'm going to attempt to share, and I will send it to you afterwards if you want to circulate it to members. It's just a way of letting you know a little bit more about who we are and what we do. And it's lovely to be with you all. I'm really grateful for you squeezing time for me this evening. So this is just to give you a brief overview of what RE hubs are and the work that I'm doing in the region. So just to give you an overview, the RE Hubs project started last year, and it's a project that is designed to map the work and the breadth of support and resource for the RE, or Religion and Worldviews community, in each region in England and in the nation of Wales. So there's one of me in each region of England, and there's one of me for Wales as well. And our role is a strategic role in looking at the breadth of provision for RE, but also looking at where the gaps are so that we can strengthen the work of RE in each region. And of course, SACREs have a key role in supporting and resourcing RE. And so part of my role is to connect with all of the SACREs in the region. So we are trying to make connections, build relationships. So we want to provide resource and support for teachers, help them to make the connections in their region, but also bring all those different stakeholders together. So an example of that is that we have a regional SACREs meeting for chairs and officers of SACREs happening in November to enable SACREs in the region to work together. And that's something that's done in partnership with NASACRE, the National Association of SACREs. We are in our infancy. We've been working for about a year. So a lot of my work has been really getting to know the region, finding out what exists and where the gaps are. But it's important to say that it is a national initiative. We've got national support, and there's a steering group that sits behind this that has representation from all of those key organisations on the screen. Let's obviously mention NATRE this evening, the National Teachers Subject Association, but we also have ARIAC, NASACRE, the RE Council, ALRE, Culham St Gabriel's, and the Theology and Religious Studies in Higher Education organisation as well. And they steer the work that we do. It's about partnership. It's not about creating new work for RE, more about bringing what's already happening together. So I mentioned already that we are mapping our region, but one of the other things that we're doing that may be of particular interest to you is that we're also running free training for SACRE members and others in your region who work with schools. So it might be that a place of worship or a place of interest that offers school visits to schools, or it may be members of SACRE or others in your local communities that go into schools as school speakers to talk about religion and worldviews. And so we're running that free training once a month. You can see there's the flyer on the screen with number of dates. And I would encourage you, if you are a SACRE member that does go into local schools, or you invite people into a place of worship or a place of interest, do consider signing up for this free training. What it allows you to have is a national kite mark that says that you have completed this accredited training and gives you a presence on our national website. We launched this website in May, and it has a wealth of information to support teachers and those working in RE in the region. In terms of Doncaster SACRE, there is, for example, an event calendar. If you're running training for teachers, you can upload your training to that event calendar as another way of reaching teachers in your area. And you can state whether it's just for Doncaster schools or whether it's open to other teachers in the region, or if it's virtual nationally as well. There's also, as I said, an opportunity to sign up for the school speaker and place of interest training. And for schools, that then means they can go into the Yorkshire and Humber region part of the website, go to the school speakers section and find a list of school speakers that are able to support them in their school by coming in to speak, or find places of interest that they can go out and visit as part of their visits programme. So there's a number of practical things that we are offering that you can use, but also that you can signpost your teachers to. So what I would really encourage you to do is to look at that free accredited training, but also keep in touch with me about things that you think would be really helpful for RE in our region. Are there particular areas of training or support that you think would be of interest? Are there people or organisations that you think it would be helpful to bring together in the region? Very keen to hear from you so that I can support you in the work that you do. I'm conscious of time, so I am going to stop my share there, but I hope that's given you a very brief flavour of the work of the RE Hubs and my role in the region, but happy to take any questions or comments before I finish. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Many thanks, Olivia. That's really interesting, very helpful. Any questions or comments?
Please circulate.
Sorry,
It was
Harvey.
really interesting. Please circulate the presentation. I thought that was really interesting and helpful.
Could you send that on to, if you'd send it on to me, Olivia, perhaps?
Absolutely. I will do that. And I'll also pop my email in the chat as well in case people do want to get in touch. Thank you.
I'll try and put the PowerPoint on the WhatsApp if I can, if it'll go on, if I can make it go on. But we'll find some way of getting it to you, Harvey, certainly. Samina, do you reckon that using the calendar there for everything, you know, for all the things that, for all the CPD that we do offer, could you use Olivia's calendar as well as everything else that you do?
Possibly. I'd have to see how it sort of links in with by Doncaster. That's the only thing that I could see, because we could certainly put the information on. It's non-Doncaster schools. It's a bit complicated because they have to have an account and everything. So I can certainly have a look at it and see if there's any glitches that need sorting out.
Thank you.
And I can certainly support you in that, because it really is a conduit. So you can organise it in a way that it simply directs to your website where all the information is, so that you don't have to duplicate. But it just means that any training you're offering has a presence there. If teachers are new to the area or are not already aware of the work that SACRE is doing, it's just another way of them finding out.
Oh, if it works that way, then yeah, I think that would be quite straightforward, because we've already got it on by Doncaster, so I can just send you the links and then you can add them on.
And could I, Jane, go on.
That looks a great resource. Could I just check that I've understood correctly that the content will build through colleagues uploading, etc. So how will that be quality assured?
So it's quality assured by us as regional leads. So for example, the places of interest and school speakers that are on the website are only those that have been through the training, have signed the agreement to say that they understand the context of working in schools or welcoming pupils into places of worship. So in a sense that is there as an assurance to schools that the people there are accredited, that they've had that training, and it's only once they've completed that and signed the agreement that they appear live on the website. In terms of the training that's on offer, it's for individuals to upload it that themselves. Obviously, what we can't do is quality assure every bit of training, but we know the people that we work with in our regions. We know that it's a SACRE bit of training, for example. So in a sense, the quality assurance comes from knowing those key stakeholders in the region. In terms of other information that is there for teachers in particular, for example, for ECT teachers, for initial teacher education, the blogs and news items, they are all managed by our team. We take it in turns, and they are from those key organisations nationally as well as locally. But if you are doing something locally in your SACRE, an event, or you have a news item that sits on your website that you would love to share with the region, that's an example of something I can then put on the website, put a link to Doncaster SACRE and a news item. For example, if you've done a West Hill project and you've written a good news story about it, we can then make sure that that's a feature in the news of the region that term. So alongside us as regional leads, there's a national lead, Claire Clinton, and we also have some support from Antonino, who helps us with marketing. So there is a team of us that makes sure that that information is of quality and appropriate for the RE community.
Sounds amazing. Thank you.
Can I just ask another question of Olivia, please, just based on that around the speakers?
Yes, please do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask around safeguarding of those speakers that you've got, you know, if they're going into schools or, you know, other sort of settings like that. I only had a quick brief look at your website, so I haven't looked, you know, in detail. Would they have the relevant checks and stuff, or is that something you would expect the institution themselves? And is there some guidance on there? Is what I'm saying is, you know, just making that very clear, because you know, I think it's just about expectations. They might think that you've done all that. So I'm just trying to get an idea of, if we're recommending people, what QA is taking place and what schools, for example, in our context, would still need to do to make sure that everything was done according to safeguarding.
Yeah. So as a website,
process
we
it?
are just signposting, but in the training that we do that gives people the kite mark, safeguarding is one of the things that we highlight that is important, that speakers ensure that either the organisation that they're working for, or if they're an individual, that they complete that. We highlight a number of things about what is appropriate in terms of the things that they need to do if they're going into schools. But of course, as with any visits and visitors with schools, we would still expect schools as the institution to set the requirements about what they expect from visitors coming into classrooms and to do those checks themselves.
Right, I'm just wondering if it would be helpful to have something to that effect on your website, because obviously people aren't, not all of them will have been to the training, will they? So they want to receive that information. And I'm not saying in that sort of level of detail, but something linked to it so that you know, schools are very, very clear. I think we just need to be, you know, 100% sort of supporting schools so that we are, you know, keeping children safe. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. I will certainly take that back to the national
you.
lead. What I would say is anybody that is on the website has completed the training and has signed the agreement, and there's a number of things that they agree to, and that is about the appropriate, so that they have completed the training, they agree to the principles of what's appropriate for working in a school context, and that they will follow the expectations of the school. But I will make sure, I'll ask the question about if we can make that more visible on the website.
Brilliant. Thank you. Can I just ask the cost of the training, please, Olivia?
It's free.
And how long could, if one of us decided we would do the training, how much time would we expect to commit to it?
It is about an hour and a half long, and it's a live session. But if for any reason somebody can't attend, and or you want that training, for example, for a group of people from your SACRE, then obviously you can come back to me as well. But we try and put on once a month so that there's plenty of options for people to attend it. We do try and keep it brief, but enough time to cover all of the things that we need to cover. When you register on the website, there's a Get Involved tab on the website that takes you to the form. It asks you some key information, and that includes the information that would go on the website. But again, that's where the agreement form comes up with all of the things that you would be agreeing to have the call it the kite mark, and you tick that, and that's that, then that, if you like, agreement that you have that you're going to complete the training and that you're going to meet those expectations. So I suppose from a SACRE point of view, it's another layer of assurance that you can give to schools that anybody going in to visit a school has completed some training.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Right. Thank you very much, Olivia. That's been really helpful. Thank you. I think we've all found that very helpful, and I'm sure you'll have, well, you won't have me because apparently I qualify automatically, having done the Humanist UK training, I'm told.
That's very true. Yes, that's right.
But other people, and it's another kite mark to add to one's, add to one's
great.
list.
Thank you.
So please do.
I'll send the slides to you and the flyer so you can circulate. But I really appreciate you giving me some time this evening. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming. We've got another question for you, Sue.
Oh.
Okay. Go on. A question for me from Sue. And so to move on, thank you again, Olivia. Do stay with us if you'd like to, but we will understand if your gin and tonic is waiting.
Apologies, no gin and tonic, but I do have something else to go to. But thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Right, the syllabus conference, not the time to do anything on it, but it is the time to make sure we've got a plan, Lat, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes, it is. I'll just share my screen if I may here. And step number 1 in the plan, we agreed that we would gather some questions to ask of all of our schools. What we want to do here is use the opportunity of the syllabus review to try and gather information from schools, exactly as we were talking about in item 11, that we don't know enough about what's happening in school RE. So I'm just bringing this to you probably for comment without the meeting now. I don't want to drag this meeting any longer than it needs to be, but there you are. That's agenda item 12 in your papers pack that I put on screen now, and that's what we're proposing to ask. I think the first 7 questions there, the first 6 questions will be directly relevant to the ways in which we redevelop the agreed syllabus. But as you can see, question 7 is about time for RE, question 8 about the use of our training opportunities, question 9 about budget, leadership and management, question 10, and then a general question about SACRE support. So I think what I'm asking is, could we please, excuse me, could we please agree that this questionnaire, with any modifications suggested from the meeting tonight, should go live soon? Excuse me, let's try a sip of coffee. And I have put a date on it, which I think we might need to put back now. But I do think we should be asking these questions of our schools, certainly for before the end of this term. So that's the item on the syllabus conference. What that means we can do then is that next time we meet, we can present a proposal to SACRE that says this is what it would mean to take account of what teachers have said. We've heard from 1 or 2 SACRE members this evening, and the point about the Baha'i faith is obviously a significant one there. And we'll also need to take account of other changes that have been happening in the last 5 years. So I think a detailed plan for the review and updating of the agreed syllabus needs to wait for the next meeting, but I am asking approval that we go ahead with this questionnaire as soon as we can following today's meeting. Perhaps I could suggest, Chair, that if people have got improvements to suggest to those 11 questions, then they should send those in rather than debating them now at what is the last few minutes of our scheduled meeting.
Have we got the mechanism for doing this, Jane?
I was going to recommend, if members do agree the questions as or modified afterwards, once you have the final set of questions, there is a tool on Google Forms, Google Docs, Google Forms that we've used really effectively with some safeguarding questionnaires that we've put out to schools, and it's quite straightforward, and it does all the data analysis and gives us a report. So there is a really efficient and effective bit of IT that we can harness to expedite this, and I'm very pleased to be able to advise LAT of that. So hopefully it will get some good traction with schools.
And is this? Are you volunteering your people to sort of do the donkey work on this, Jane?
I am, because actually it removes that legwork. So yes is the answer. So once you've agreed the form, we can then get that converted into a Google's doc, and then send that out as a link within your Edulog update as well.
Right. So
setting the expectation for schools.
So what we're proposing here is that you would take this on. Any members of SACRE who can see anything that could be improved will send it to you, and unless you feel it's desperately controversial, you will then put that out to schools, and perhaps by the next meeting have a report on what you've got, what data you've managed to collect from that.
I'm happy with the being able to report back with regards to the data we've collected. Just one thing I would appreciate is if I could just have the final set of questions rather than receiving amends, etc. If you could send the amends to LAT, so LAT gets the final list, and then LAT sends the finalised set to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
So anybody who'd like to do anything, who'd like to suggest an amendment, would send it to LAT or send it to me, and I'll send it on to LAT. Behad, you'll make sure that LAT is doing it right, won't you? Don't let him get away with anything.
I'm sure LAT is quite proficient.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. And anybody else who's got anything that, please do. Either direct to LAT. You've got his email address on the stuff that comes out, I'm sure. If you haven't, just come to me, and it's no problem. And we'll have a deadline for
I think end of the autumn term would be helpful. Oh, for the questionnaire to be out and back, or for the deadline for the question amends.
For the amendments.
Oh, I think as soon as
Just
possible.
1 week.
Really. I'd like to be 1 week.
1 week
end
from
of
today.
term. Yeah, yeah. So
1
we can get
week
this
from
going next
today.
week.
Lat will have the final version. If you feel there's anything controversial, Lat, you'll get back to me. But in all probability, you won't, will you?
I'll make sure you see it as it goes over. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it will go to Jane by this time next week, and we'll have results by the February meeting.
Yes.
And that way, we will then be on with the new agreed syllabus conference, and we're covering that base. Brilliant. Thank you for that. That is super duper, except that I've turned on and I've now lost the agenda.
It's me again, Bob.
That's it. What was that?
It's me again.
It's you again. Yes, you've got about 3 minutes now, Lat. You've got everything in writing, so you don't need a lot, but you do like to point some things out to us, I know. So off you go,
I'll be
Lat.
I'll be no longer than 3 minutes there, Bob. Thank you very much indeed. Once again, just to share the screen, as you know, colleagues, we present this report to you each term, and it's very interesting to see that the national manoeuvres of religious education are often quite relevant to the things we're thinking about in Doncaster. There are, as usual, click links in this report, so if you would like to see more details, then the blue underlined links will take you straight there. And we've put onto the first page here a letter, would you believe, to the Daily Telegraph from 30 MPs and peers to the Education Secretary, questioning whether the training of new RE teachers can be given higher priority. Since I wrote this, it is very good news to say that there will be £10,000 bursaries for new trainees for religious education coming into the profession next year on a variety of routes. That will be university routes and skits and Teach First and school-based training. So that's the hot news there. Education Select Committee, DFE guidance on the place of humanists on SACRE. I've said previously that Doncaster SACRE has been ahead of the field there. We've been pleased to welcome humanist representation for a long time now. And then something about the recruitment crisis. As I say, we have good news on that. I'm just flicking down the pages here. That's a part of the information I presented to you today. Comes from our Freedom of Information requests about the ways in which the different local authorities are panning out in terms of their religious education offer. Again, I'm sorry to say that Doncaster is not at the forefront of GCSE and A-level take-up. We need to just continue to think hard about how to monitor that. That moves on then to representation of RE interests at the party political conference. Those 3 conferences attended by representatives of RE national bodies have gone very well for us, and we have loads of good contacts with parliamentarians about religious education. Quite a lot of support from that. The next set of items here are about training and networking, and we have, for example, there continued work on anti-racist RE, the Global Neighbours Award from schools, from Christian Aid, which is open to schools, bit of new stuff about NATRE memberships, and then that one's interesting to me, and we will send this out to all of our Doncaster schools. The RE Teacher Connect Fellowship Programme is providing funding for 10 teachers across the country to do 6 months of work on religious education and climate issues. That's led by Dr. Jeremy Kidwell, University of Birmingham, and it really is a fine opportunity. Wouldn't it be great if a Doncaster teacher picked that one up? The Financial Times is offering philosophy of religion courses. That's the RE Hubs item, which Julia has just talked to us about. Pleased to announce new resources from BBC for early years RE, which I've worked on actually, and I'm proud to be associated with those. That's a good package called Against Islamophobia, providing some free resources for schools. Further down, there are some more training opportunities, and I'll stop there because I said 3 minutes and I've had it. Colleagues, the point of writing the report is really so that we don't need to go through those items in detail, but I hope you'll be able to come back with interest to any of them that particularly grab you. Thanks, Bob. That was a speedy one.
It was a speedy one, and thanks for that, Lat. And please, may I just follow it up by saying, do please find 10 minutes to sit and just read it all through, because there is some really good stuff in there. It would be easy to sort of skip over it too fast. But on the other hand, we have got it in writing, so we don't need to sit and listen to that actually reading everything out. But honestly, it is worth your while reading through it. So please do. Hannah, would you give us a word about potential liaison with neighbouring SACREs?
I can try. I wasn't really prepared to say a lot.
I'm sorry, I've sprung it on you, but you being chair of a neighbouring SACRE, and I know it's an area that you have an interest in. So.
Yeah, so briefly, Rotherham SACRE is a very small SACRE, and we don't get a huge amount of support. We've got some very dedicated people who are supportive, but the amount of work we can do is quite limited. Vanessa, who you will know sits on your SACRE, is our advisor and does some wonderful work in schools and support for RE subject leads, and we're able to I work with her to deliver some subject leader training every term for ROSIS, which is our traded service in Rotherham. But we did think it would be nice to sort of do some things together, really, knowing that time is very limited. So, you know, if we could work together to do some things, then for the benefit of everybody, really, it would be lovely.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
And Glynis, I put you down on the agenda. I don't know whether you noticed, and thought I must have a word with Glynis, and I don't think I ever got around to it. But sorry, I do beg your pardon. But I did think this might be the sort of thing that you would be really interested in picking up, actually, and perhaps working with Hannah, assuming Hannah does manage to join. You know, if Hannah joins our SACRE, you might make a great team on looking at ways in which we could take those ideas forward. Well, yes, I think so. Okay. Have you got any thoughts at this stage, or shall I leave that with you to just ponder?
So Hannah's Rotherham.
Hannah's Rotherham, aren't you? Yes. And I think Sheffield might be interested as well. I've heard rumours of.
Yeah, I have been in touch with Helen Sheehan, who's vice chair at Sheffield, and she's very keen to do some work as well together. Yeah. I've got a contact for Barnsley SACRE as well. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll leave it with you, Glynis. Have a think about it, because it might be the sort of thing that might be a project, perhaps for a future year, when we've sort of put a few ideas together, rather than take on too much too quickly. But yes, Jane's looking at me. Yes, that's not too much too quickly up, is it? Yes.
I think it sounds very exciting, and you could do something quite innovative. It'd be really nice to see if there's some, obviously, link to need, and if there's some grant funding that might be available. But certainly planning and doing something in terms of fostering relationships first, and then perhaps moving into 24-25 with regards to a delivery project. Take time to develop the relationship for sustainability is my advice.
It could be the sort of thing where the whole is much greater than the sum of the parts, isn't it? And it could be, you know, it could be really powerful, I think. Thank you very much for that, everybody. Succession planning, I've already mentioned. I just want to keep hammering away at it. It really is important that we do have a sort of ongoing feel, so that things don't suddenly, well, I don't know about collapse, but so that it's suddenly we're without leadership. That, I think that is really important, that we need more of us leading things, and so that, you know, there is somebody to take over any sort of aspect of it. Future agenda items, we've gone over time already, so I don't take a lot of time on that. But would anybody like to comment on today's? I mean, I thought the Tara's presentation was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was great to have Olivia along. I think we've had a lot of comments from a lot of people. We've had new ideas floated. We've had, it feels like quite a lot more interesting debate and discussion and thoughts and so on than we often have. So would anybody like, well, I mean, I would dearly like the head of RE at a secondary school in the city. I think that would be a real catch, and I have approached 2 so far and not got a reply. But I've other plans to keep trying. But I don't know if does anybody else have a contact with the secondary school? We've obviously got Amy's, your link up with your school on the books, on the hook anyway.
Obviously I can have a conversation with the Australia Trust. I know they've got a couple of secondary schools in the trust.
Hey,
so
how about that?
I can have a chat with either Thomas Thorogood Hyde or Rowena. I forgot Rowena's last name. That's not good, is it?
No.
But I can have a chat with them and see if they can send a representative from a secondary school.
That would be great. And if we could get...
If that fails, I've got a couple more and we'll happily chase them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Certainly, the Australia Secondary in Doncaster is Woodfield. So David Scales, the head teacher, Thomas, I know. So do lean on them. Yeah.
I think that would be really great. Thank you. So very much thank you for that, and very much to be encouraged. Anybody got any other things that they would like to see in a meeting, like to join in with? I mean, something else that occurred to me was that we do represent a big selection of different approaches to life and religions and worldviews in the terminology. I wondered whether we could take it in turns. I would be really interested to hear more about each of the faiths that's represented on the SACRE, and maybe over a few years we could each take it in turns just to do 5 minutes on our standpoint. I mean, I know before I joined as a full member anyway, I did 5 minutes on what I think of as humanism. I would be very interested to hear that. What makes your particular approach special? Does anybody think that's a good idea? Yeah? Would anybody like to take on that idea for the next meeting? It's a good idea, but, hey? Okay, right. Well, perhaps I might even give one or two of you a ring. So if you see me on your phone, I should pretend you're doing something else if I were you. Okay, right. Right. So there we go. Date and time of next meeting. Madam Minute Taker, Miss. Is it on? Oh, it's there. It's 22nd of February. Sorry, yes. And I think we pretty much decided we would continue to meet here, didn't we? Because the facility of people joining online, of which we've got a lot of people today online, and I must say it is good to be able to do that and to share screens as well. We've done that more tonight than ever before, I think. So, right. So we've run over time, but thank you very, very much indeed for your attendance. I hope you feel too that we're really making progress. We're making a difference. RE in Doncaster schools is actually different because of what we do, and it's better for what we do, and it will continue to be so. In fact, it will get better and better with the time and energy and interest and concern that you guys are all putting in. So very many thanks to all of you, and, onwards and upwards. Thank you very much. Very good evening all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.